The goal in life is to change what engine you run on. Most people, 99% of this world, and me included, run on an emotional driven engine. What that means is basically we run on how we feel. Our feelings dictate or tend to dictate our our actions. So let's say, for example, we feel angry. If we feel angry, most of the time we'll tend to lash out. And if you are driving on that specific engine, you are just you're just a slave to those emotions at the end of the day, just being rocked back and forth, not knowing what emotion might arise and how you will react. The engine that we are supposed to run on is called the value driven engine, because we're going to have emotions. We're never going to get rid of emotions. We'll always have thoughts in our brain of how we feel about certain things. And the way you react to those said thoughts are the way your life is going to turn out. So what you have to drive on is the value driven engine, which is, what do you value in life? What do you find important, and what do you enjoy doing at the end of the day? For example, if your value is, be a stoic person, and when someone angers you, you don't lash out. That's the value, or the wish that you have for yourself, is to be that kind of person. Now, when you run on the value driven engine, no matter what thoughts that you have, even when you are feeling angry and you have thoughts of lashing out, when you run on the value driven engine that makes you act how you want to according to your values, eventually those thoughts that you have in your brain about lashing out and getting angry and being irrational, they slowly start to go away. You'll find out. And that is because your brain only gives you feelings and thoughts according to the feelings and thoughts, or the things that you react to. That's what your brain knows. For example, if you get angry and you react to that anger with anger, it feels good. A lot of people like the feeling of being angry. It gives them some sense of justice for their anger, for them to lash out, that they deserve to be angry. And your brain knows that you like this feeling. So what your brain does is give you more anger so you can relieve that anger, because it makes you feel good. And the way you relieve it is by acting it out. Now, when you feel angry and you don't act it out, you start to show your brain that these thoughts that you give me, these habits and these feelings that you're giving me, they're not important to me anymore. I'm not reacting to these anymore, because this is not how I want to run my life. And then your brain starts to notice that, and your brain starts to give you thoughts and emotions that line up with your actions now. And I guess this would basically go hand in hand with exactly what discipline is. Discipline is pretty much doing the things that you have to do even when you don't feel like it. So if you are someone that drives on that engine of feeling and emotion, you'll tend to see your life always going up and down and up and down. Life is such a roller coaster of happy and sad when you're driven on that engine, because you kind of don't know where you're going when you drive on that engine. Because as humans, we have an array, just a complete variety of different emotions all the time. And those emotions are habits of a lifetime. If you have a lifetime of getting angry when things happen and reacting to those things, you're going to keep getting angry. And then there's people that control that anger. And when situations arise when you're supposed to be angry, they don't take it as hard. They don't get as angry. They don't get those emotions as angry because they built that habit of discipline. And anger is the main, character I'm using in this for this example. But this goes for anything in your life. This isn't just for anger. This is laziness, at least for the most part in my life. Laziness, when you feel that laziness and you react to it by just sitting there in bed and scrolling or whatever, you're reinforcing that thought, and your brain is like, oh, this scrolling is making me feel good, so let me give something that'll induce this scrolling, aka laziness. So to overcome that, and I'm also on this journey as well, is you cannot react to your thoughts. Your thoughts just have to be in your mind. You'll never not have thoughts unless you're one of those people that for some reason don't have an inner monologue. I don't get what's it called. Some people just don't think, bro. And that shit is crazy to me, because I was watching Lord of the Rings today, and I realized, like, throughout the whole movie, it's just like my mind is just racing. But that's just me, like, 24/7. Anyway, you can't react to every thought that pops up in your brain. What you have to act upon is the actions that you want to display in your life. The actions that you do are the actions that will take you forward, will progress you. No matter what, this has to get done either way. The other day, my brother was, like, it was kind of late, and I got back home from, like, hanging out with friends or something. And he was like, oh, do you want to cook dinner right now? I know it's kind of late. And, I have to get my protein in, bro. I got to get my protein in. And he goes, oh, do you feel like cooking? And I told him, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I feel like cooking. I have to cook. You know what I mean? Like, this is the cost of progression. And that's with everything in life. When you have a mission, you gotta go through with the actions. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And we're all human. Everybody at the top, every successful person They're not motivated every single second of every single hour. But those people are driving on that value-driven engine. That's the difference. They do the things that has to be done when they don't feel like it. When they feel like they deserve to rest. When they feel like they want to just relax and chill. That is the difference between the 99% and the 1%.